Hi everyone. In today's video, I will be showing you some new information about the W-4 that's going to be coming out in 2020. This is Tasha Nicole, the entrepreneur. For those of you who are a client or follow me on social media, welcome back. For those of you who are not familiar with who I am and what I do, I'm a tax strategist, business consultant, and educator to middle to high income beauty industry entrepreneurs such as pro hairstylists, barbers, makeup artists, and nail techs. Yes, I do still serve other industries as well as individuals across the U.S. Okay, my business name is Harge Connections LLC, and on Instagram and YouTube, I am known as entrepreneur_help_desk. Beyond tax services, I am your GPS to starting and growing your own business successfully from home or anywhere. I've been successfully self-employed for about 15 years now, and that's part of what makes me qualified to get on here and speak on the various topics I talk about. This video is for educational purposes only, and if you're not one of my clients, you should consult with your professional for legal advice. Okay, so here we have the W-4 that we've all been familiar with for many years. And yes, although I primarily serve entrepreneurs, you do have a lot of entrepreneurs who are not full-time entrepreneurs. They're still working a traditional job. So I always split my content. I talk about a lot of things that still relate to people who are still employees. Okay, and we also have tax season coming up with all kinds of questions and new things going on. So I'm going to be trying to put out some more relatable content for that as well. All right, so here we have the old W-4 form, right, for payroll purposes. And my goodness, people already got so confused with this. A lot of times I would get calls from clients and, oh, Tasha, how do I fill out this W-4? What about this worksheet at the top? Well, there used to be a worksheet, right? But you guys know what I'm talking about, and I would just tell them what to do. Mainly, all that mattered was what you put here on line 5. Sometimes other stuff, but mainly primarily that was it, and then also your filing status. Okay, so this is what lets your employer know like how much taxes they should be taking out, etc., etc. Okay, but now everything is going to be changing. Let me go to my other screen. 2020, this form is changing, and it's really like pretty confusing, but all right, we're going to get through this. So this is the 2020 form. All right, now I'm going to jump around a couple of things here. So maybe you might want to grab a pen and paper and write some of this down to just try and take it in as best as you can. So now this is the new form for 2020, right? You still have your information here, your name, social, address, and all of that. Okay, and then you have here your filing status. This is a big issue. This is like the main thing. People get confused with filing statuses, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about filing statuses, and if I need to do a separate video at some point just on filing statuses alone, but I'm going to try to kind of summarize. So for purposes going forward, you're either going to be single or married filing separate, but I'm going to tell you in a minute why even if you file joint, it might still be good to just check that anyway. Okay, so either you're single or married filing separate, and that's usually the highest taxes that come out. Then you have married filing joint or qualified widower. Okay, and then the last option is head of household. Now, a lot of people get confused with that because people feel like, well, I am the head of my household. Even though they're a single individual, they don't take care of anyone else, other than their pet, which that's not a head of a household. So, but they feel like, well, I'm the head of my household, so can I check that? No, not according to IRS. Okay, for IRS, you have to be taking care of another qualified individual. It can even be a non-working adult. It can even be a disabled person, disabled adult. And of course, definitely children. So in those cases, when you claim those people on your tax return as a dependent, you can be considered head of household, okay? If you're upkeeping more than 50% of, or more than half the cost of their living situation, And this is why nowadays, honestly, bookkeeping is not even really just for business owners anymore. So much is going on with these taxes, and so many audits are coming up, and they want to verify so many things. They want you to prove how you have the household. Well, you can show payments of rent, mortgage, grocery receipts, utility costs. If you're buying clothes for these people, save receipts. Like, this is how I'm the head of the household. Here's all of my proof. Here's my accounting to show it. Okay, so now what I was saying earlier about checking off single or married filing separate, even if you file joint, that's because sometimes, I know it's so annoying, but sometimes when you're married filing joint and you fill that out and your spouse fills that out at their job or whatever, believe it or not, there's still sometimes cases where not enough taxes are coming out. So a lot of times it may just be the best thing for all of you to just check this box single, okay, and let it work itself out in the numbers. So this way it's highly unlikely that you'd probably owe most of the time, okay? So, and then if some people really don't care about that and they just want to bring more money home in their paycheck and they know they filed jointly and they'll just figure it out at the end, well, you can do that too. Then check this box, married filing jointly, and if it so happens to be that not enough came out, you may have to still pay a little something more when it's time for the tax return to be filed. Now remember, this is just beginning 2020, okay? That actually was still in effect for 2019. It's just that now they changed the form. Now I also want to mention, I'm going to kind of get to some frequently asked questions that I think may come up in a minute, but I just want to quickly stick in there and say, is everyone required to fill this out next year? No, you're not required. What's going to happen is that if you don't, fill this out, your employer is basically still going to be going with whatever your most recent W-4 form showed. Okay, so now let's go here to step 2. All right. First of all, I know sometimes I say a lot of first of all, so y'all gotta excuse me, but okay, IRS now has an estimator right here, all right, at irs.gov/W4 app. But believe it or not, that's not even, I don't want to say it's not helpful. It is to some degree, but the kinds of questions that you still have to answer, it can still be a bit intimidating. Believe it or not, if you're answering things incorrect. So, but they do have that there as a tool to help you make sure this is filled out correctly, or as close as possible. Okay, you'll notice here that step 2 is for people with multiple jobs or your spouse works, because they want you to check this box, okay? If there are only 2 jobs, you may check this box. Do the same on W-4 for the other job, right? So your second job, you still check this box, and same thing with your spouse if they have 2 jobs. But now you see what I'm saying, it can begin to get complicated. That's why, again, you can kind of leave this blank and just check off single, sign this form at the bottom in section 5, which I'll get to in a minute. Okay, or maybe I should kind of jump there now. Sorry to jump around, but if some of you just want to literally just fill out everything in step 1, skip sections 2, 3, and 4, and just sign here, then your employer is just going to be taking out what they need to take out based on this with no other factors involved. But some of you may want to go through it step by step and try to navigate it to the best of your ability, which is also fine. Okay. Now, the next step, claiming dependents. Okay, there's a difference between exemptions and dependents, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. Well, let me explain it now. Okay, so let's look at the W-4 again. the old W-4. Remember on line 5, we used to have a line that says total number of allowances you're claiming. Okay, that was where they were taking out for 1, 2, 3, 4. Jesus Lord, some people would put 9, 10 because they wanted the least amount of taxes to come out. But what that was for, if you don't have 7, 8, and 9 dependents to account for or exemptions when it's time to fill out the return, that's why people always owed money back, because this number was too high. Okay, but they've taken out the exemptions. So you can no longer claim exemptions, but don't be confused, because it doesn't mean that your dependents don't still count for other factors. Okay, so as we see, we have here for the, what is this credit here? Okay, if you have children under 17, you're going to put that number here, multiply that by 2,000, and put that here. But then you may also have other dependents. Remember, I mentioned those non-working adults who are not necessarily your children, who you're taking care of, or they're over, your child is like 20 and not working and you're still taking care of them. Well, you get this $500 for them. So you could do that math here. Okay, and this would all be taken into account with the amount of tax withholdings that are coming out, okay, in terms of federal. Because let's be clear with a lot of things, guys. We're just right now talking on a federal level. I have some other screens to show you, because I'm going to talk about, sorry about that. I have some other screens to show you, because I am going to talk about how this is only on a federal level, okay, not state level. State, you're still taking out exemptions, all right? So, my apologies. I had to pause the video for something that I had to take care of, so let me gather back where I left off at. I believe I was talking about section 3, okay? And that's where you're going to indicate, if you want to do that, all right? What I was explaining is that the difference between exemptions and dependents, one has nothing to do with the other on a federal level, okay? So if you are going to be still claiming your children or claiming non-working adults, that's fine. If you want to fill this kind of information in, again, you don't have to. Remember, I did say you can just fill in step 1 and 5 and leave all of this blank. You're not required to fill in the rest. Now, let's go to step 4, okay? Step 4, this is where it can sometimes, it can kind of really get further complex, because they want to know, like on line A, if you want tax withheld for other income you expect this year that won't have withholding, enter the amount of other income here. This may include interest, dividends, and retirement income. But again, if you're not 100% sure how much that's going to be, that can be a little bit confusing, you know. So I don't know if I necessarily recommend that you do that. But again, these steps are what this W-4 app on the irs.gov website is supposed to be able to help you with. Okay, now you have deductions. If you expect to claim deductions other than the standard deduction and want to reduce your withholding, use the deduction worksheet on page 3 and enter the result here. Well, let's go to page 3. Okay, where's the deduction worksheet? Okay, here's the deduction worksheet. Okay, you'd fill in this kind of stuff and just read the line items and fill it out, or circle back to the W-4 app on the irs.gov to get this information filled out to the best of your ability. You know, these worksheets are really just to help you finalize the best number, okay, that they should be taking out. That's all these worksheets are, really. All right, now let's go back. And then the last one is extra withholding. Enter any additional tax you want withheld each pay period. You know, at the end of the day, that may even be just a good way to go. Instead of doing all of these calculations here, which can confuse you, you might just decide to want them to take out an additional flat amount each pay period and just stick that on line 4C. Okay, that's also an option as well. And in terms of other incomes not from jobs, you may have side hustles that you're doing, or again, you may be a part-time entrepreneur. And if you're not paying quarterly taxes on being that part-time entrepreneur, maybe you might want to have your employer taking out additional money to kind of offset that income you're earning. Or you might not even want your job to know about the extra money you're getting from other sources. So that's another reason why you may not want to fill out line 4A. Okay, and please know that that is also always an option. If you just want to keep it basic with your employer and separately you want to voluntarily make quarterly estimated tax payments, you can very well do that. You're not required to have all the taxes withheld this way. You can still send in voluntarily payments on your own free will. Okay, so these are the new changes coming with this form. Let me just answer a couple of what I think may be possibly some questions that may come up. Okay, the allowances that I mentioned, the exemptions that used to be on line 5 on the old form, it doesn't matter on a federal level, but does it still matter on a state level? If you guys are thinking that, if that's a possible question that was going to come up, yes, it does still count. Let's take New Jersey for an instance. I have clients all over the United States, so I just selected a few states randomly. Okay, this is the tax withholding form for New Jersey, okay? I have a lot of clients in Jersey, and as you see, you still fill out your usual information, and then let's see here on line 4 is where you would say total number of allowances you are claiming. Okay, because on a state level, there you are still getting pickups for the allowances that are, or exemptions as they call it, that you're no longer allowed to claim on the federal side. Okay, same thing with Connecticut. Let's take Connecticut for example. Okay, I have a lot of clients in Connecticut. You know, Connecticut, they're kind of really good at giving you a good breakdown of what you should put on these line items. But as you can see, let's see for Connecticut, I believe, where is it? Withholding code, reduce withholding. Okay. Basically, yeah, I'm trying to look for their line item which shows the exemptions. Okay, I don't see it off the top of my head unless I'm missing something. But basically what they explain here is they go by this up here, your filing status, and certain things within the filing status, like if you should select EAD over here, EAC. Okay, that's how they break theirs down. Let me also show you Georgia's. Okay, I have a lot of clients in Georgia. Now, Georgia is the same thing. Their line item, where is theirs for exemptions? Allowances on line 2. Okay, dependent allowances here on line 4. See right here, line 4, Georgia wants you to indicate how many allowances that you're taking out for the number of dependents. Okay, so even though it doesn't matter on the federal level anymore, that's been eliminated. As you see with all the states where you get taxed for state, then it does still apply there. Okay, so that's what I wanted to explain today. I believe I covered the filing status. Let me see any other questions that may possibly come up, because I do want to end this video. Oh guys, one thing I want to mention too, for those of you who still need to try and understand the W-2, which relates to how you fill out your W-4, I'm going to make sure I put a link to that video, because I had done a video that a lot of people found very helpful. You know, people don't know how to read their W-2, so that video, everyone really stated that, you know, it helped them out a lot. Let's see what other questions may come up. Okay, I'm looking at some notes here. I think I covered most of the stuff that probably would come up, but if I didn't, make sure you message me, or you can comment below and let me know if you have additional questions, and I will try and answer them. I do try and answer all my questions to the best of my ability. Okay, And I think that's everything, guys. So thank you for watching. If you found this video of high value, please be sure to subscribe to my channel or follow me on Instagram or Facebook, or just simply share it with a friend. If you'd like to book me for a customized Q&A session, message me for more info. And be sure to download my new book, Taxes and the New or Early Stage Entrepreneur, What You Need to Know, at newentrepreneurtaxguide.com. Thank you, and see you in the next video.